What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you that things might get a little bit tight in the real estate market. Certainly, we're entering the spring market at the time of this recording, and things might get there. However, when things get tight and things change, you need to dial in this one thing that'll absolutely change your business. And I know that if you do this over the next 2 to 3 years, you will clearly separate yourself from the competition and be standing at the top when, things maybe get back to normal. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? This is Jeremy Kane with the Real Estate Agent Playbook. Super excited for this one, as I really think this will help agents level up. My goal is to help you win every single day at the game of real estate. Always available for a conversation, realtor game plan call in the link in the description. Always reach out, let me know if you're interested in partnering with me at the Wolfpack. Again, reach out. If not, totally cool. I still love you anyways, but let's get into this one. So what is that one thing that I'm talking about, right? As we see the market changing, as we see it getting tighter, we hear news of the commission lawsuits and the DOJ making statements that, they think that the buyer's agent should be paid specifically by the buyer and the seller shouldn't be legally allowed to do it. Okay, let's let that all settle out in the appellate court and do all that. Give us the rules in the sandbox and we'll play. But here is the one thing I would be focusing on. I would be focusing on your unique value proposition. And I will tell you, I am building a course for the future, not the one coming out in the spring, about how to build your unique value proposition. And I will tell you that I've had conversation after conversation with top producers, and even the top producers have trouble identifying their unique value proposition. So the name of the game is differentiation. If we can differentiate ourselves, our services from those in our market, especially, and those that we're in competition with for those listings, for those buyers, it can change the game. And a lot of people, talk about this as like niching down and all of that. Certainly there is an element to that, and you can kind of run away with the unique value proposition. With that, I call this a value stack, so I'll use those words synonymously through this video. However, let's really dial it in. What makes you different than the agent up the street? What makes you different? Okay, this can take you from a brand new agent. What makes you different than that very top producer, right? And know these things, know your values, know your core values, and stay by them. But this value proposition can absolutely change the game. And once we know what our value stack is, or our value proposition is, we can build our entire brand, our entire lifestyle around this one thing. And then it makes it a lot easier, right? Those hard ones are the ones that are like far reaching, and we're like, oh man, what are we gonna get here? How are we gonna do this? No, just be yourself and provide that value, right? You are a good human. And as we kind of roll through this, it's of utmost importance that you understand that we can absolutely make this happen. It's just step by step, dialing it in, sticking to the brand, building the brand, sticking to the brand, right? And this is why your story is so important when you're talking about building brand, right? Brand isn't just the colors and the logo, right? I don't know who's going to pay you, whatever we make these days. We're not allowed to talk about that, but I don't know who's going to pay you a large sum of money because your, colors are the same as your favorite baseball team. Probably not the case. However, it's really cool to build that brand, and you can go deep, right? Maybe it is about the sports. Maybe you're getting into that sports and entertainment side of it. And, maybe your events and things like that are surrounding sports teams. Whatever you want to do, build a brand and start dumping value into the people that you're targeting. And that's the biggest mistake I see with agents is they're putting out content, they're building flyers, they're putting out signs, and they don't have the target audience in mind, right? They just have their brand, it's almost like it's a mirror, right? They're putting up mirrors everywhere so they can see themselves. And if we can turn those mirrors around and say, this is my value that I'm bringing you, and it has to be more, guys, than I'm a good negotiator, or I take great care of my clients, and I love houses and all the things, right? Like, if you have the same value proposition as somebody else, the value disseminates every single time. And so every single time you hear, oh, I just love working with people and I love, real estate in general, it's just a great investment tool, right? Well, that just took 90% of the agents and put them all in one pile, and you can pick the best one from there, the one you like the most, your best friend, whatever. And so that's where we need to understand differentiation is going to be the key over the next few years. And we've all seen it, right? We've seen all of these agents who have these crazy, the dog realtor, the divorce realtor. I don't know about that. I'd rather hang out with dogs than people that crush divorces, but that's just me. Just kidding, all you guys out there doing the divorce thing. We won't even go into estate sales here. Just kidding. So these unique value propositions and dealing with that specific clientele, that's exactly where I would start. Okay, are you a first-time home buyer? Well, let's build our whole value proposition around getting first-time home buyers from renting into a house. What do you do besides go talk to a lender, right? Partner with credit people, partner with apartment complexes, build incentives with everybody you possibly can think that can come into the world in these first-time home buyers, dreams and so on. And as we do that, and we're really focusing on first-time home buyers, let's not forget that these first-time home buyers become first-time home sellers. So how are you managing that relationship from close to next transaction? Because that's absolutely a massive loss of business, is that next transaction. And so if we can continue to kind of build this out and bring industry partners in and bring different ideas and seminars and marketing materials and all the things to these people, right? I don't have, your unique value proposition, but we could do a lot better at, putting ourselves out there. And it doesn't have to be I'm the dog realtor and your dog can ride in the back and come to the showings and treats and all the things. That's absolutely massive. And Colorado agents, you might want to look into that because Colorado people love their dogs. I'm not sure about the insurance liability on that, but these different unique value propositions start with the target avatar and then just coming into finding what their why is, right? Why are they in the market? Why does this person want to buy? Why does this person want to buy? Why does that person want to rent, right? Because if we can start appealing to their why, right? I call this our why 2.0. Our why, which everyone talks about, family, financial freedom, retirement, all these things, that just gets us out of bed. If we can create our why 2.0 and it involves our avatar and their needs and their direction, this is something that can change the game. And so start to really think about, okay, how is that going to happen? And you may have a couple different target avatars. Great. Let's build that up and let's provide as much value as we possibly can legally within our system to help these people sell and buy real estate, right? And that's where it changes and that's where the game can change. However, like I said, I don't know what your value might be, but I would start with the avatar and say, what exactly can I bring? And ask the question, right? I should be able to ask these top producers, these high performers, what's your unique value proposition? They should be able to lay it out, right? The unique value proposition is nothing new. However, it is going to be a game changer if and when something happens with these buyer agent commissions, because now all of a sudden it's a chunk of change out of the buyer's pocket, possibly straight out of the buyer's pocket and only out of the buyer's pocket to pay us, pay our bills. And when you really think about it, 95% of agents probably 100% of their agents get their start as buyer's agents. We certainly work our way through that. We have buyers, they turn into sellers, then all of a sudden we're listing agents. But you have to understand the effect it'll have on the market if somebody like the DOJ comes in and makes a rule that vastly changes our industry. You have to be ready for that, and you have to be able to talk about your value. And I'm here to tell you that it's not just about the buyers. We're going to need to step up our value on the seller side, because as that happens, there's going to be less and less and less agents, and we're going to be competing against the big block computers, the Zillows of the world, and people feeling like they can maybe start to, do this on their own, right? And I don't know about you, but the stuff that I do for my clients, I don't want amateur people going up against and negotiating against and doing all the things with a licensed professional on the other side, because I know how that will eventually turn out and eventually shake out the other way. So this isn't a major fear mongering thing. It's just like, think about the difference. If when that changes, instead of shuffling and figuring out what your value proposition is going to be and how you're going to, go about this, start doing it now. Start implementing that value so that when that time comes and the buyers start to be like, okay, well, am I going to just click this button and get it done? Or, am I going to use you? What do you do different than that computer? What do you do different than that agent that's going to say, hey, I'll do it for $1,000, right? Because that's where the competition comes in, and that's where it gets interesting. So I think the next step is, and this isn't just like pie in the sky, riding on rainbows here. Like, once we have that target avatar and we understand their whys and what they're doing, and we're developing our why 2.0, so to speak, what are we good at, right? And once you have that and you say, okay, this would be really good to have this ultimate experience and have them, have a discount on moving and know exactly where to get insurance and know exactly what, a first-time homebuyer needs. What's that? What are those initial investments that first-time homebuyers need? And, you have all these things. What can you provide as a real estate professional out of those things? Sometimes it's just consult. Sometimes it's just, walking through certain parts of it, and that's super important, the education. Sometimes it could be, changing the locks and doing all these things that first-time homebuyers have no idea about. It might be, a first-time homebuyer checklist where it's not just a checklist hidden in the back of that folder. It's like, okay, I'm going to call you at these certain stages to remind you how to kind of get into home ownership and all the things. These are just ideas that I have, right? But look at your skill set. What can you do, again, within your legal allowabilities with your license, no matter what state you're in? What can you do to check all these boxes? And then who can you build relationships to check the rest with? And if you can come with a team, right, that's, hey, we're first-time home buyers, we're a team, right? This lender is the best first-time home buyer lender because of XYZ. They're on my team. My transaction coordinator understands first-time home buyers and really will help, answer any questions on the documents and the things that I don't answer. Maybe you want a second opinion. They're a good person, to ask a question to on a definition. Now, certainly if they're licensed, not licensed, I'm not saying that. But you're building this team, and they have an understanding of your value proposition, of your standard of communication, of all of your standards that you're portraying in this unique value proposition. And you come to the table and you say, hey, look, I got myself and 10 other people who are here to help you with every single step of your, first-time home buying journey. And here we are, right? And it doesn't have to be first-time home buyers. That's just an easy example. But as you can see, you start with your avatar, you figure out why they're doing what they're doing, the struggles that they have, you go through it, you get experience, and then you say, okay, what can I check off the box for them? Where can I show up? And where can my team show up? And there shouldn't be any gaps. And if there are gaps, that's a great opportunity to build partnerships with people in your community, industry partners, and all of that. And you can build a whole nother business, leg off of them. But your unique value proposition starts with you, and it starts with how we're going to present that, right? And if we're continuing to be transactional, we're continuing to kick this can down the road, there will come a day where you're going to come back and watch this video and say, okay, how do I go about building this unique value proposition? If you have any questions about that, if you want someone to talk to, 30 minutes, realtor game plan call, I'd be happy to help you, no matter what brokerage, no matter what downline, no matter what team you're on, to help you build this out, because I think it's super important. And my goal is to help every single agent that wants to win at the game of real estate. No matter what the commission lawsuits, no matter what the industry, no matter what direction the market goes, I want to know the rules of the sandbox, play in the sandbox, and help all of my friends be there too, because I'm an extrovert and I like people. So hope that helps. Share this podcast, on audio over there. Share it with your favorite real estate agent. If you're in the car and you're used to watching on YouTube, check out the podcast sometime, and vice versa. You can share that YouTube link super easily, copy, paste, send it to your favorite agent as well. And all comments are welcomed. I appreciate you guys all. Let's build this community up, and let's get another win today. Bye-bye.